So you might be wondering, what the heck is Antstream? So Antstream is actually a cloud game streaming service that I heard of last year. I didn't have a channel up yet, and I never really looked into it. It's for retro games only, but there was another article out last night from Tech Radar and about Antstream, and it reminded me of the service. So I've added it to my main channel, Game Tech Planet, where I'll be testing Antstream out a little bit and doing some gameplay over there. So if you're interested in that, there will be a link in the description below if you'd like to go check out my main channel there. But here on Game Tech Talks, I want to just go over this article and talk a little bit about Antstream. So from the TechWriter article, Antstream is the Netflix for retro gamers, but is it good enough to take on the AAA game streaming competition? I don't know if that's really a question, because when it comes to Stadia, GeForce Now, and other cloud gaming services that are coming, they're coming quickly. They have a ton of different games and AAA games, new games, a large variety of games. This is about 1,000 really retro 80s and 90s games. So I don't know how competitive it is, but it's definitely going to have a market. So it says, you may be excited by the prospect of firing up Horizon Forbidden West on your PS5 by this Christmas, but lockdown has had me yearning for some nostalgic comfort of games a little more retro. And this is very true. I've been playing a ton of my older games, actually. So I'm talking about a simpler time where epic games came on a floppy disk and your favorite multiplayer sessions required a pocket full of coins at your local arcade. Short of firing up an emulator and hunting for ROM sets, these games, especially the more obscure ones, can be hard to play on modern systems. Enter Antstream, a game streaming service specifically tailored to delivering retro computer games and arcade classics to all manner of devices. To call something the Netflix of is a bit trite at this point, but the sheer size of the Antstream catalog makes that an apt description for once. With over 1,000 games to play, it's the largest game streaming library we're aware of at the moment, dwarfing Google Stadia, GeForce Now, and PlayStation Now. This is not true. Yes to PlayStation Now and yes to Google Stadia, but GeForce Now has over 2,000 titles on their games list ready to play. So that's not true when it comes to GeForce Now. Streaming early arcade classics right through gaming history, up to and including a handful of Mega Drive and Genesis titles. Antstream is available on Android TV devices like the NVIDIA Shield, Amazon Fire TV devices, Mac OS, Linux, and Windows. $9.99 monthly charge. There are also other tiers that you can buy, or other different pricing from different months, 3 month, 1 year, or something, I do believe. So to stream or not to stream? Game streaming maybe isn't the most obvious way to serve retro and arcade games. A sustained streaming session could use several hundred megabytes of data, and considering many of the games on offer were originally just kilobytes in size, you'd be on your way to downloading the whole available catalog in a matter of hours, or they served up as traditional downloads, but you wouldn't have the cloud advantages. But game streaming does have its advantages. For starters, once the app is installed, you've got instant access to the complete Antstream library, which now numbers more than 1,000 titles. Your high scores, your saves are all synced across all devices, as are challenges in games set by friends. That's the thing, though, too. How many of you are actually going to get friends that all sign up for this service? So it's a cool feature, but I would imagine a lot of people that really want to play this service aren't necessarily going to have a large group of friends that want to do and pay for the same thing. And as anyone who has attempted to play retro games through emulation will know, setup and compatibility across emulators and ROM sets over multiple devices can be a real pain. Antstream takes all the hassle out of that. That's true. I have RetroArch running very well, and Dolphin and many others on my PC, and I've gotten good at hashing out all the problems with those. But yes, it takes a lot of work sometimes to get all of your emulators working, get your ROMs going. Sometimes you need BIOS files and things like that. Antstream's library is one of the most diverse and esoteric of any subscription service out there. Like I said, GeForce Now, Of course it does, and also Steam is now included GeForce Now in their cloud gaming. It doesn't have the modern bells and whistles of something like Game Pass or PS Now, but that's courting an entirely different audience. Antstream's games can be just plain weird, and that's what makes it special from a game history point of view as much as from a gameplay standpoint. Like I said, these are very old games. the 80s and 90s for the most part. So take cult classic Enigma game Whizball, for instance. You're a wizard who's been turned into a green bouncing gremlin ball thing with a face. You have to bounce around what seems to be the surface of the moon, collecting paint droplets that drop from the enemies you defeat to fill a cauldron that will cast a spell to return you to your former self. It is weird. You won't see something like that on next month's Xbox Series X game reveal. No, you will not, unless it looks really pretty with ray tracing, right? But from Bubble Bobble to Metal Slug X, there are stone cold classics nestled in between the deep cuts. As with Whizball, it's one of the few services to shine a light on the Amiga System 2. Amiga, I believe, is Amiga System 2, the discerning gamer's alternative to 16-bit consoles in the 90s, bringing games like Magic Pockets and Alien Breed to an all-new audience. I did play those back in the day because I am that old. So issues to iron out. Antstream doesn't just serve up the original games either. In some cases, it builds upon them too. Having licensed all the titles from their original owners, Antstream has been given a blessing to include new asynchronous multiplayer challenges to games. This could be anything from one shooting the quick-moving UFOs in Space Invaders to making hyperspace jumps in asteroids without dying. The service uses free-to-earn currency, with which to gamble and challenge friends. Though aside from entering tournaments and laying down the gauntlet to your friends and foes, there's not much else currently to do with the gems you hoard. But that's pretty cool, and the fact that they have the licensing for all those games, you're not going to have to worry about games being pulled or the companies wanting to take them back. They've got the rights to have all these games on the platform. So they can also modify and add features. They can have these gems. They can have the saves, the challenges, and things like that. There are a few things missing and bugs that need addressing before Antstream can be fully recommended. And this has been something that's just kind of been gaining steam. And a lot of people still don't know what this Antstream is. I knew of it last year, but I'm really only catching up to it and starting to use it as of this week. There's a major hole in its mobile offerings in the shape of iOS support, which has been proposed but is still currently missing, as are console apps for Xbox One and others. So iOS support, this is not surprising unless they find a way to do this maybe through browser or something. The app is not coming anytime soon. Apple has pulled all support for things like Stadia, xCloud, GeForce Now, all that kind of stuff. If it has to do with game streaming, cloud gaming, whatever, they're not allowing it on there. Shadow PC was even pulled for 2 months from iOS, and then it came back. They had to remove the quick launch games area and make it just take you to your PC desktop again like it used to, and then Apple allowed it. It couldn't resemble anything that had to do with purchasing or launching games directly from the app. So that's just kind of how that goes. So I wouldn't expect this to hit iOS anytime soon. Beyond challenges, there's no synchronous multiplayer support over the internet, and the overall caliber of the library may lean a little too far into curio than classic territory to justify the $9.99 a month subscription. Now, I'm only going to have this for a month or so to test on the channel, but this isn't something I would necessarily want to keep for myself. It's not something I'd use that often. I could see me getting a month subscription of it every now and then, but not keeping it going all the time. It's a lot of money really for what you get. I would have preferred to see this more like a $4.99 or even a $2.99. So we've also on occasion ran into control bugs where certain titles fail to work with the gamepad, and side-scrolling arcade titles become unplayable as a second player enters the fray without a human to guide them being present. But Antstream is unique in its proposition. It's taking cult favorites and lost gems from the archive of gaming's history and making them accessible to all, where previously they've been the preserve of retro collectors, of emulator dabblers. It's a great trip down memory lane in a year where the future of gaming draws ever closer. So I thought this was a pretty good article, and it laid out a lot about Antstream and what's going on. They're obviously still working on it. But like I said, I did sign up for a month so that I can test this out over on the other channel. So if you want to check that out, like I said, that link will be in the description below. So thanks a lot for coming to check out this video. If you haven't already, subscribe to the channel, ring the bell, give me a thumbs up, leave me your comment down below. Have you heard of this? Do you use Antstream, or is it something that you're interested? All right, thanks again for coming to check out the video, and I'll catch you in the next one.